Great afternoon, great evening. Welcome to day two on how to earn multiple six figures in real estate, part two. Definitely super pumped today because I have my guests coming on board again. So for those of you who followed or who watched my live, yes, well, my first live session, you guys know that I have my very good friend Dr. Steven on yesterday. We were talking about real estate, how he was able to really build, a multi-million. Well, I don't want to say a million because he sold over $1 billion worth of real estate. So if you're into real estate and you're struggling, you don't know how to scale your practice, or if you're looking to get into real estate and learn the secret to building a portfolio in multiple six figures, even in the millions, you definitely want to pay attention to this part too, because we're going to be diving deeper than we did yesterday. So let me bring my good friend Dr. Steven on. Let me see if he's on here. All right, perfect.
Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
The boss himself.
How you doing today?
All is well. All is well. All
Good,
is well. Definitely great
good.
to have you on board. I know you got a couple of meetings lined up. So I don't want to waste any of your time. I definitely appreciate you coming on this live to drop nuggets. So once again, if you got pen and paper handy, if this is your first time, I want to recommend you watch the part one yesterday. This is part two. Unfortunately, we're not going to be covering anything we talked about today. This is more of a continuation from where we left off yesterday. So yeah, let's kind of get right into it. I do have a list of questions that I want to ask you because I want to make sure that I'm addressing questions that a lot of people have but may not necessarily have the answers to. So one thing that we both know is that you know we live in a world now where technology is really the name of the game. We got technology, we have artificial intelligence, and so many new things are coming. I mean, coming down the pipeline that's changing so many industries. So I guess for you, how has technology been able to transform, the real estate industry, or more even so, your business, and how have you been able to adapt to those changes?
Well, good question. I think my story is not complete without technology. I lacked, like I said, I lacked what you call coming from um an elite background. Talk less of even saying coming from an average background.
Yeah,
So if you look at my own kind of background, you're gonna be like, well, he's a son of a poor parent. His mom is even dead. I've always shared this story of how my father-in-law, when I went to him, I wanted to marry his daughter, and he tried to just, and in our culture, father-in-laws are actually marrying their daughter to the family, not
yeah,
to the guy,
exactly. Yeah,
right? Except if the guy, of course, has built his own reputation.
sure.
So now I haven't built any reputation. I dress so simple. I look like, a jobless guy. And there was no designer wristwatch or designer any clothes. And he kept asking, okay, so who are your parents? Just
Yeah,
try to look for a notable person
in
in my
the
family.
lineage.
That can give you some level of comfort that, okay, what, if anything goes wrong, at least I can call, this is, big professor, or this is uncle that is a, top guy in the military or in the civil service. And there was none. Then we even got to church because, incidentally, he used to attend my church. And then, so even that, the kind of pastors he was calling, okay, do you know this pastor? I don't know. So, I mean, he just concluded, I said, this guy is not responsible.
Mm.
right? I can't give my daughter to him. Um, of course, if you want to know the end of the story, you should follow me. You hear, but I mean, it ended well. It was one of those beautiful stories
Yeah.
because I think when I had Mary's daughter, and we reconciled. Incidentally, a few years after we reconciled, he passed on.
Mm.
But I was glad that he benefited from some of the successes that I had acquired. The last birthday last year, he was the first person to arrive at my birthday in
Mm.
Banana Island. And, at some point, he just had to be calling his daughter, who are those people? Who are, the notable kind of people who came for the birthday, even though it was in my house. A former IG, wife of vice president, he just kept, at some point, you could see so much joy. Like,
Yeah.
that's always what he had wanted anyway. But my problem was I didn't have that when I started.
Yeah.
So the technology became the leveler for me. And I keep saying this to a lot of people. Technology is the leveler. If you come from my kind of background, you don't have wealthy backup, you don't have rich people, and you are now going to real estate. And remember, real estate is capital intensive. So a single property could be $1 million, could be $2 million, could be $10 million. I used to sell a property in Dubai, one unit, $46 million. One. Right. So, and largely real estate is about connections, about who you know.
Yeah.
Two poor people can't help themselves when it comes to real estate transaction. Okay. Yeah,
Not just real estate in life.
in life, but it's more really real estate because
Yeah.
the guy likes you, but he just can't afford what you sell,
Mm.
unfortunately. And at the end of the day, that ain't gonna help your business.
Right.
So we're in a business where whether you like rich people or not, they are the only ones who can afford what you sell.
Mm.
So you have to build relationship with high net worth individual and not having, that background, not having, so I had to use technology. A few things I had to do. Number one, I had to get deeper. I had to make sure that my content resonates with 60-year-old, 70-year-old, 80-year-old, right? I couldn't talk shallow anymore because I needed the people who had the money were way older than I do. So I
Mm.
needed to attract really, I needed to talk big and talk deep and talk years. Today now, I talk about, I sit with people like President Obasanjo, who is 86 years old, former president of Nigeria. And when he talks about what happened in the 60s, what happened in the 70s, I'm able to match the conversation with him over breakfast, over devotion, without him saying, sorry, you were not born dead. That kind of,
You ain't baby.
oh, sorry, I'm mentioning things that happened when
Way before your time.
you were in heaven. But I had to read deep, right? I had to study deep and understand these things such that when we have conversation, these people feel like they are talking to their colleagues,
Mm.
right? And this is sometimes the problem of many of us in sales because we fail to realize, again, like I shared earlier, people don't want to be sold. They don't want to buy from strangers. They want to buy from their friends. And one of the powerful things I discovered about rich people, they want to be friends first.
Yeah.
They want to invite you to their house, show you their cars, show you their mansion, right? And build a connection
Mm.
before thinking business. But guess what? Unfortunately, we that we are hustling, we're like, come on, get to the
Yeah.
now let's get to the good part.
Yeah.
Like, just go straight to the money, man. Let's just do the business and move on. But high net worth people want that. So for me, I had to then build relationship online. I had to chunk out content. You won't believe this, Deepo. Well, you're with me on that journey. Some days, 25 posts on my
Mm.
page, 25 contents,
Wow.
right? Catering for different kind of audience. So and that became the opportunity that really helped me to rise in life and business because now people are able to like, okay, but the guy talks reasonable. He may not look the part, he may not wear designer clothes, he may not talk like the son of a rich guy, may not even know his parents and all of that. But I think he knows what he's saying. What he's saying is a lot deeper. And that
Mm.
really, really helps. So I want to say to everyone here, technology, technology, technology. You have to master digital marketing. You have to be a professional with social media marketing. And it's unfortunate that it's in all sector, Deepo. Every
Absolutely.
sector. I mean, I was just listening to a pastor, and the pastor said, look, you could have a church, and somebody in Australia is the one pastoring your members.
Mm.
They only physically come to your church, but the person they really look up to,
Is
and I don't know whether you've noticed it now when you ask people, oh, who's your pastor? They will give you two people, right?
yeah,
You
home
know,
base and abroad.
because they're probably joining some online prayer
Yeah,
somewhere. It is technology. And they feel more connected, they feel more blessed by that minister than even the physical pastor that they attend every Wednesday or Thursday or
yeah,
every Sunday. And so the competition is real. And you have to use technology as a tool to scale in business.
man. That's so deep, and I can 100% relate. And for those of you guys who just chiming in, Dr. Stevens talking about how to use technology and more importantly, social media to build a brand that can captivate the attention of your target audience. Yesterday we talked about identifying your niche. Well, the only way to not only identify them but also reach them is by being visible, right? And I would definitely say this. I know, like I said, I studied you for a long time, and I noticed at one point I studied you in Grant Cardone, and one day I looked at the common theme that you guys post ridiculous amount of content every single day. And back then, yo, I was probably, maybe posting maybe once every other day. It wasn't as serious. But you won't believe this, that the moment I started posting 2 to 3 contents per
Yeah,
day,
yeah.
my social media page changed. And and, and ironically, that also impacted the growth of my business. So for those of you guys who are into real estate and understanding the importance of technology is like extremely crucial. Now that kind of leads to my second question. How do you navigate market fluctuations and economic downturns in real estate? Because obviously there's sometimes where real estate is booming and quote unquote when it's not booming. Like, what is your strategy in those situations?
Well, a good question. I realize that honestly, if you have your A game on, particularly leveraging on technology, you really wouldn't have a down season. I'll give you a practical example. Just like you, I have this friend in Dubai, Farouk Saeed. And 2019 he came to Nigeria. I kind of was his Nigerian partner to sell properties in Dubai. We used a co-hotel, and then we did Abuja Sheraton Hotel. So I remember at some point I even took him to one of our estates that we're selling, and we did video together with Farouk Said on that estate. And I'll never forget it, how he just saw how I was just doing live shows all the time. He's also cool and conservative, just like you. But, he just felt this, it's like there's something in this thing. And then he went back to Dubai and started, doing similar. But this time around, of course, those villa houses in Dubai,
Yeah.
explaining, oh, he needs to watch this $20 million house, this $10 million
Mm,
house. And boom, 2020 COVID hit. You will not
wow.
believe it. Just the same way I grew over, 500%. Farouk Saeed's sales probably grew over, I mean, without exaggerating, maybe over
Wow.
5,000% in COVID. Yeah, because now people couldn't go to a physical office,
But it's still need to
to
see.
buy real estate and negotiate real estate. But they had this guy on YouTube mentoring them about real estate. He's already earned their trust, and they were just calling him and his office, and they were just buying and buying. Post COVID, of course, boom, it continued to sell. So once you can understand the pathway, leveraging on the internet, leveraging on content marketing that we shared yesterday, once you can understand how to use those tools and or outsource it or get mentors who can mentor you on how to navigate those tools. Honestly, there's hardly going to be a bad market for you. There will only be a booming market, but there won't be a market when you're not selling. There will just be a market when it just, scaled even more because of environmental factors or the other. For example, what I'm doing here in the US, I intentionally came to the US when the interest rate is high and nobody want to buy property. Intentionally, right? For me was the strategy go when there is blood on the street. It's one
Yeah.
of my investment strategy. Okay, don't go during good times and then hustle it out, then negotiate it out. But guess what is happening? One of the landed property I was buying, 14 acres, was listed for $6.6 million, right? And I said, you know what? I want to buy for 4.5. And the first thing my agent said is ridiculous. They don't negotiate like that here in America. This is not Dubai. This is not Nigeria. It's not shithole country where you guys just where you just negotiate and take $2 million off. And then I said to my agent, I said, look, I'm the client here. That is the price you should put.
Mm.
You know what happened? They were shocked when the client came back and said, it was 6.6, and I said 4.4. And the client came back and said, I will do 6 million, $500,000 off. They were like, in fact, at that point, they were the one I said, I think we can counter. I think he will go, I think he will go
Interesting.
lower. At the end of the day, we went under contract $1 million off.
Wow.
Now, if it was a good market, nobody would do that. In fact,
Yeah.
my agent said, Dr. Stephen, you've committed murder. In the real estate sector, I've done real estate for 17 years. This has never happened. Never. Right? So, but again, for some of these people, I remember another property I was buying. The day I came to take the keys, the landlord was saying, oh, it's a celebrity. Can we take pictures? This guy has a Forbes page. His profile is on Forbes. I kept yelling. I was like, okay, well, somebody needs to pinch me. I didn't know I'm famous. And then by himself, it's like, oh, we didn't get you a table, but we'll give you $1,000 off. We didn't do this. It was just all nice. So my argument is, if you leverage on technology, you will be shocked at how you can scale the business, even if you enter the market during a tough season. Even if the market is terrible, you
Yeah.
will still fly. Absolutely. At least compared to others, you will be on top.
So I love that. Now that now brings me to my other question, because obviously the strategy that you employ during a time where the market is doing good is not the same strategy you employ when the market, quote unquote, is not doing good. So how do you stay up to date with industry trends and market changes, and also identify opportunities during those time periods?
Beautiful question. I would say again, follow the data. One of the quotes I often say is that in God we trust, everybody else is subject to data.
Mm,
Let me say that again. In God we trust, everybody
everybody
else
else is subject to data.
is subject to data. Right? So we have to check the data. It's not going to be a sentiment or emotions. It's going to be the data.
Yeah.
So you have to be on top. You have to. I just, employed a new data analyst, personal data analyst, who just gives me data. I just want to see data. I just want to assume assumption is the lowest form of knowledge,
Mm,
and assumption is the mother of frustration. And in this day and age of AI, you have a lot that is going to help you. And
yeah.
I have this family friend of mine. She works with Microsoft, and then because there is a remote work, and she was with me, and I could see they are meeting back and forth. And I said, so tell me, this business analyst you're doing for Microsoft, how does it work? And at some point I said, are you aware AI will soon take over this job? Like
Mm,
Microsoft won't need you to do this data analysis because it was just something you listen to people, then you write some
yeah.
things.
AIs can
And
do that now.
exactly, I'm like, I said, Microsoft will soon replace you with AI. I can assure you that. She said, yeah. I said, but unfortunately, we are not always moving at that speed. For example, when we announced as a company, Depot, as far back as 7 years ago, that we want to be the largest green and smart home developers in the world, we haven't expanded to America like this. We're back in Nigeria where they don't even know what it means to, where you say green, they don't even know what is green.
You talking about
But
grass.
exactly. I often, even up to now, when we say we're building green, and say, "Oh, you mean trees and plants?" I said, "No, green stands for
That's smart
renewable
home.
energy and all of that." So, you have to be light years ahead. You have to be 10, 20 steps ahead. I was sharing with our team. I said, now everybody's copying us with green and smart. I said, our new evolution is luxury, rural luxury.
Mm,
And then so now we're going to go after rural luxury. In other words, our campaign now, and incidentally, most of our lands are not in city centers. So I
mm,
said, now we want to preach that message of you having your house and it looks like a country home. I mean, like where I am. Literally, deep where I can open my door now and show you deers outside my house. Right?
yeah.
I think you saw them the last time you came.
Sure,
You
sure.
know, and how healthy I feel each time I'm here in my American home is so good for my health. I'm not hearing noises. There's no
Yeah.
it just and it's luxury. It's $1 million home, but it's in the midst of nowhere. And that's the future. So you have to keep asking yourself questions. How can I be 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead? Even if I am a property agent, a property broker,
Yeah.
how do I begin to position the brokerage for the future, for the consumer behavior for 10, 20 years ahead, so that by the time we get there, mentally, I am the one people are thinking about.
Yeah.
Right now, many of my competitors hate me like hell, even back in Africa. And I remember one of my friends was saying he went for one real estate conference and everybody was just complaining. I wasn't in the conference, but they were talking about me. And I said, but that's what happened when you're a leader. I hope you know. He said, I knew. I mean, I was just telling her that you guys, of all of you, Stephen is the smartest because he's 2, 3 steps
Mm,
ahead and I could see it. And now you sit here talking about the guy, but he's like years ahead. But I realized one of the things that gets people pissed off, some people look at their portfolio. You know how you want to brag and say, well, Deepo, we currently have 100 billion in our portfolio. And then people are looking at you and say, but by the way, what's your name again?
yeah.
You see, now, and then they will not say, but do you know Stephen Akintayo? And you'll be like, Stephen doesn't even have 5 billion in his portfolio. I'm like, it's boss of all bosses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. But the issue is because one has understand positioning, the industry is thinking Stephen Akintayo and is not thinking of the other guy. And
Because you're more visible.
because you're more visible. And that guy knows the consequence of that. That
Mm,
whether you now like Stephen or not, you will in future literally even go and give your $1 billion property to Stephen and say, well, Stephen, maybe you will be the one to sell it for me because
yeah.
I have it, but
Yes.
nobody's interested in,
Sure.
buying from me. They don't even know me. But hey, when whatever you touch turns to gold. I have this coaching program I do for real estate mentees. It's $20,000, and I recently started doing a tour for some of my mentees. I'll just go to their site. And I remember visiting one of them. And then 2 weeks later, I said, Dr. Stephen, thank you for visiting. I posted your video visiting our site and we're sold out. So
Mm,
I was like, sold out? Are you sure? You know, there are certain things people tell you that you're like, are you trying to, just hype these things up? Because
yeah,
even me, I'm not sure I carry that kind of
that great.
superpower. Then I decided to test it on another mentee, and the same thing happened. In fact, the other mentee was supposed to send me like 5 hectares out of his land. Suddenly, he won't pick my call because it was sold out,
Wow.
and I had to go through somewhere to reach out and say, "Yeah, but yeah, it was because it was sold out." I'm like, "But that's
That's not
wickedness, right?"
right. You
You,
use my
you,
name and my brand to
and
sell out.
Exactly. It was my name because he came to me complaining he wasn't selling. I trained his staff. I then visited the site and then they were sold out. And you should at least have some honor and keep what we agreed you're
Yeah,
going to sell to me. But hey, it's life. People like to use you and then discard you if they think they don't need you. But that tells you the power, okay, the people of positioning in such a way that in good or bad times you're in business in such a way
mm,
that you are light years ahead. People just trust your name, they trust your brand. Now let me be fair, it also comes with the consequences because there are also people who are jealous of you, who will not come out as admirers, but as pointing at something that doesn't work
mm,
right to people around you. If I now I'm having to start mentoring a lot of my friends, a lot of my acquaintances to say, hey, there is a danger to identifying with me. Okay.
yeah.
And I did
I've
that.
experienced, a couple of those
Yeah.
situations.
And I realized that I started doing that when I lost my best friend. And I remember my best friend coming back to me, apologizing, and said, one of the things he said to me, he said, some of those people kept talking about you negatively to me that made me to distance myself. On your birthday, they posted about you and said kind words. And because of what they said to me, I didn't even do a post. And I've known you for over 20 years.
Mm,
And after losing my friendship with you, I realized that that was exactly what they wanted because these guys ultimately admire you.
yeah,
But I lost that level of proximity that we had because of all these side things they kept saying, and I lost that relationship. I think Temi was sharing with me recently as well how people just called her, oh, talk to your brother now. See the shirt he wore. He didn't even put on the belt well. You should be able to tell him to know how to use the belt. Or they would call her and just say talk to and at some point, she was also using it to react to me. She would just come and say, what was this bad? What was this grammatical error in your post? Meanwhile, apparently it was somebody who screenshot it
send it.
and sent it to her. But at some point, she started reaching back to say, hey, why not tell him yourself?
Yeah,
And I just started pushing. But I said today, none of them, when they now reach out and say, oh, we are proud of your brother, he's doing well. But you were telling me 2 years ago, like you almost wanted me to cut off my relationship with this guy.
yeah,
So it's important to know that this thing is good and bad, right? Since I've gotten close to Dr. Customers, I mean, I've heard a lot of things about him. When I get close to a Obasanjo job, I've heard a lot of things. And I think some of us are not prepared for networking upward. And I'm happy I'm mentioning this because we're teaching people need high network clients in real estate. You also need to know that you must be mature because as you get close to those people, and that's why many of high network people are scared to just relate to anybody. As you get close, you will hear stuff People will throw a lot of stuff at you. And if you don't know how to manage it, if you're not mature, you'll begin to react with those people. And it's when they then shut the window, when they then cut off from you, when they then distance, you then realize what you've lost. And
Yeah,
then you will soon now see the same people who were telling you, don't get too close to
will be
him,
praising
be
you.
careful about your reputation. You see them take selfie. And then point like, what's going on here?
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I mean, these are just, I mean, lifetime nuggets where you're not going to learn this in real estate, any real estate class. These are like real life practical stuff. And for those of you guys who are just joining, the one of the key things that Dr. Stephen talked about is the importance of leveraging digital marketing, having online presence. Number two, we talked a lot about this yesterday, your network, right? Your network is your net worth. If you don't have the right people in your network, it becomes difficult to learn the strategies to scale to the next level, which is why we're doing this live so you can learn some of these strategies of how he's been able to sell over $1 billion in real estate over the last, what, 17 years?
Yeah, this year makes it 17, yeah.
17 years.
Mm.
Excellent. Excellent. Now that now leads me to, let me just pick one of these questions that I have on here. Obviously, a lot of people are looking for a way out. Like, what advice would you give to someone who just got into the real estate industry? They're really trying to get their feet wet. They don't know where to start. Like, what do you say to someone who's just coming on board afresh? And number two, in addition to that, how important is it for someone to have a mentor in this industry?
I think your second question answered the first question,
Mm,
which is the fact that you just if you just getting started, the first thing is to get a mentor and a role model. A role model is somebody you don't have access to, but you're looking from afar, you're following them on social media, you're reading their books. A mentor could be somebody you are able to also get a bit maybe closer to, but you want to start there. But second thing is also training. You want to go for as many training, even if it's going to cost you money, as many conferences, as many seminars you can go. I mean, next, and I tell people, don't look at training from the angle of what are they teaching me, I already know it.
mm.
Because
It's
this
the
will,
network.
yes, this will disappoint you. Because sometimes, I don't know whether you used to have that experience. I used to have it where I go for training and I know what they're saying. And I just felt like I wasted money. But now I enjoy going for those meetings because I don't go with the mindset of, oh, they're going to teach me something new. There's nothing new anybody's going to teach you, right? Okay. But they will reiterate it to your subconscious and it begins to come out to your conscious. Let me say this. Once you do not practically experience something, you still don't know it yet.
Mm,
Right? So I give an example. They're teaching you, you've read a lot of books on 10 steps to be a millionaire. You've attended seminars on 12 steps to be a millionaire. And I want you to know, as long as you've not taught that $1 million, you still don't know. So don't be angry when you go to another seminar and then they say, now we teach you 9 steps. And you be like, well, out of these 9 steps, I already know 7. Yeah, you knowledge wise,
no. Have you
right? But
practicalized it?
in practice, you still don't know. So sometimes it just be to look at the ambience, look at the packaging, look at the
Mm,
perception. I spent $20,000 for Grant Cardon's event, and I don't go for those conferences because there's something new I'm going to hear. No, I want to bring to my consciousness how to organize that kind of massive, conference that has 10,000 people in the room, 5,000 people in the room. I want to keep looking at how do they do the lights, how do they do the ambience, the marketing, the sequence, right? The brochure. You may think these things are little, but it's really how to begin to live in the reality of what those people have. Because
mm,
whether you know those 10 steps and you can even teach it, as long as you still don't control those two
You don't
billion,
have the results. Yeah.
$8 billion real estate. There is still something missing. There is still something you still don't know. And it's wisdom to keep going till you get. But of course, if you combine the trainings with the mentorship, with the role model, with the learning from observation as well, I think you will go far. But I want to warn again, and I mentioned that in the last question you asked, that is important because we're talking about mentorship. Your second question, it's important to know that there's no perfect mentor. None,
Yeah.
right? You will read stuff about your mentors, you read stuff about your, people you look up to, but please don't let those things get to you. You have what you want to learn. And I can tell you, when you get to the top, you realize that those mentors didn't make mistakes. It was just a sign of growth.
Yeah.
It was just a sign of growth. So I'll give an example. The church I attend at some point in the UK, the charity commission, started investigating them, investigating. And, it was all over. Like, oh, you see, you know how in Africa, investigation is equal to your
Yeah.
guilty.
Like you're guilty. Like whether or not you're not guilty, you're just guilty.
Once you are being investigated, you're already guilty in Africa. And so everybody started talking. Oh, you see, we told you, these guys, they're investigating them. And everybody kept talking. But guess what? Of course, years later, they came out with a report that says of all the charities they've investigated, this was the best, and that they love their processes and others should even learn from them. Of course, that didn't trend deeper.
Of course, yeah.
But I watched people how those who used to mock my church now also at some point when they grew to a level, they were also not being investigated. And in that case, they were even indicted.
Mm,
Right? So it's a lesson that when you hear things about your mentor, you probably, if you have close access, ask questions. Because 2 years down the line, 10 years down the line, you might just be in the same shoe.
yeah.
And if you are humble enough and not to see your mentor as, oh, they don't know how to do it, oh, they are weak, oh, they're also guilty, you might not even learn the secrets to how to probably even prevent that or reduce the effect of that when it eventually happened to you.
Mm,
So one of my mentors here in the US, I've paid for his next conference in March, $20,000. And boom, I just saw yesterday, oh, so person is being sued for $100 million. So one of his business partners, and then of course that one came out, was saying a lot of damning question. He felt cheated, he felt scammed, and first of all, I had to listen objectively.
yeah.
Two two ways I had to listen. Number one, in the course of the relationship, did you make millions? He said yes, he made millions. Okay. But because he had salaries, he had commission,
Mm,
right? And so at some point, practically every month he was making millions, people.
wow.
And yet he felt scammed.
Wants to sue for 100 million.
I want to sue for 100 billion.
Mm,
So at some point I had to say, okay, Stephen, now you need to learn what you probably will face tomorrow. How do you prevent something like this? And listening from the complainant's view
yeah.
and how he saw things. You are not even looking at it from your mentor's view now. How do you prevent somebody from feeling like this when you eventually get here?
Mm,
Because here was I want to start buying companies, and here is somebody way ahead of me experiencing this kind of thing where he bought into a company and use this platform. And you won't believe this. 2 days ago, I was just having a meeting with two co-founders that I want to buy into their business. And boom, the light bulb moment, I was like, thank God. So rather than seeing this as, oh, I need to be careful around this mentor, maybe I should even attend this next conference,
event.
right?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
suing him for 100 billion. I need to be careful. You know how we do it in Africa
Maybe
now. It's going to
maybe he'll
ruin
use your
your
twenty
reputation.
thousand to pay for the lawsuit.
Exactly. Yes, it's going to use my 20,000 to pay for the 100 billion lawsuit. I better ask for refund.
Interesting.
You know how we do in Africa,
Yeah.
those low mindsets, low IQ mindsets that people do.
Yeah.
But I'm rather saying this is an opportunity to learn. This is an opportunity to see what's happening to my mentor and maybe put certain things in place ahead of time that when such even happen, it's not going to be this
Ye-
big in
Yeah.
terms of the whole process, and that's the way you should see mentorship because you definitely need mentors, and the mentors are not going to be perfect. And not only that, you're going to hear things about your mentor,
Mhm.
and you have to build the maturity that when you start hearing those things, they don't now affect your behavior. You still honor them. All those who are my mentors, the more access they give me, the more humble I get. The more
Mhm.
they open their doors, the closer I get. And to a point where some of them even feel maybe I have an hidden agenda because I could be so loving, I could be so loyal that you probably even think there's some
Something.
agenda
Yeah.
around the whole thing. And for me, I'm just being as just being myself.
Man. That's fire. And I think for those of you guys listening, there's two important things I picked from that conversation is that, a mentor is someone that you learn the good and the bad from, right? Whatever they're doing that's good, you learn from that. Whatever they're doing that's not good, you also learn from that, right? So just understand that whoever your mentor is, there's somebody's going to have something to say. You know what I mean? So I definitely appreciate you for sharing. And which now leads me, I think we'll probably wrap up on this question because in your situation, what you just said, your mentor being sued, it have to do with investments, decisions, all these other stuff that went into that. So my question for you is, how do you balance risk and reward in investment decisions to avoid, potential situations like this?
Um, do you mean potential situation like which one?
What All right, well let's limit it to how do you balance risk and invest how do you balance risk and reward in your investments decisions, right? Because
Beautiful.
obviously some projects, will be high risk, some will be low risk. How do you balance that?
Very good question. I think the first is, for me will be um, even if you focus on one sector, don't still put your eggs in one basket in one sector. So, for example, I'm into real estate, but I'm into commercial, I'm into residential, I'm into fix and flip a bit, I'm into Airbnb. And so I'm kind of diversified in the one single sector that I'm in.
Mm,
Um, and, and so that is very critical. I'm also always looking at things that you can leverage the existing stuff on. For example, many of the lands we're buying here are already leased for agriculture, even though we're waiting for permits to come out. So we've leased it for agriculture while waiting for permits. So that makes me a farmer as well. So you want to look at the complementary things you can begin to add to what you do. So that way, even if you make some losses here, this other one, is
balances
going
out.
to bring some, yeah, it creates some level of result because many of us face a challenge where we stretch ourselves too thin by doing too many businesses.
Mm,
And so I tell people focus on the niche, but within your niche, you can still diversify,
yes, yes.
right? Within your industry, you can still diversify within the same industry. So people may not buy more houses right now, but there's an opportunity to buy lands and get permits. And by 2026, when interest rate will be lower, you then go aggressive building houses. And at that point, you're making good money selling those houses,
Facts,
right? Rather
facts.
than rush to build houses now. And then, your holding cost is high, your loan the interest rate and all of that is just killing you. But you could say, hey, I'll buy lands now. I'm just going to focus on buying more lands and
Yeah.
buying more lands at a cheaper price. And once the economy is better, I start building. So there's a whole lot to this thing. And again, I tell people get a mentor, because mentors will teach you both ways, right? They will teach you Zeke, they will teach you Zach. Zeke can be prison to palace, Zach can be palace to prison.
Mm.
You know, so I tell people, I say, we are millionaires because we've lost millions.
Mm.
We
That's deep.
are billionaires because we've lost
We've lost
billions.
billions.
We're thousandaires because we've lost thousands.
You are zero near because you've lost zero.
You're zero there because you've lost zero. So
Afraid
the
to take
reality
risk.
is, let's be honest with ourselves. I know somewhere at the back of our mind, we all wish there's no risk. We all wish, my men, all these days, my mentee was saying to me, say, first of all, Dr. Stephen, are you supposed to have low side of life? And then what do you do during the low side of life? I laughed. I said, well, first of all, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Life is ups and downs, low time, bad times, times where things are slow. It's normal to life. We hate it. We wish it doesn't happen. And some pastors have lied to us to push that narrative. Oh, with the anointing, you will never fail. Shout hallelujah. And then you two say, yay. But wasn't Joseph anointed? Did he
Yeah.
not fail? Wasn't David even ordained king? Ordained king.
Mm.
And yet the king was looking to kill him. And then he was in trouble after being ordained king. We need to start preaching this in the body of Christ. Pastors don't preach that anymore.
Right.
We just don't like the people. So the reality is, you will lose some, you will win some. But when you diversify within the same industry, right, you will always realize that you will bounce back. Can I be honest with you guys? Can I be honest, guys? When I sit with my mentors who are billionaires in dollars, we don't always just talk about their wins. We
Mm.
also talk about their scars, right? And I will be honest with you, some of their scars is bloody. Is
Mm.
bloody. I literally leave some mentorship meetings deeper, just being like this. You know, because I'm just like, can I pay this kind of price? Because the mentor is somebody you look up to, you want to be like him.
Yeah.
Now he's now telling you this and
What it
that, and you be
costs.
like, yeah, God, can I pay this price? I want to be like this guy, but I'm not sure I can pay what this guy had
Mm.
paid to be where he is today. I'm not sure. So please know that diversification within the same sector is one of those ways to balance things out. You lose on some, you recover on some, but you keep winning. Lastly, you must have the maturity to maintain the same enthusiasm whether you're losing or you're winning. Let me say that again. Please write it down, everybody. Type in this chat box. You must maintain the same level of enthusiasm whether you're winning or you're losing. Means that you're saying, when I'm winning, you will think I'm losing. I'm more quiet when I'm winning.
Mm.
I'm very, it's the time
Hush money.
yeah, I'm thinking, I'm planning, I am, for example, the kind of income we've made this January in 17 years. Uh, Let me give you a context. Sales in January for 17 years is not compared to what we've made this January.
Like this month. This month.
This month that
Wow.
hasn't even half people,
Wow.
right? But if you notice, I'm quiet, like I have some problem. Okay. And so I have learned to build my life in such a way that you wouldn't know when I have problems,
Yeah.
really. Because my my perception, my mindset, my you know, it's just the same. Um, I remember, the on the fourth we paid over $100,000 to some of our investors in one day,
Mm.
right? So, for me, sometimes we must learn to know there are challenging times, there are good times, there are bad times, but maintain the enthusiasm. Have the same level of excitement going through challenges, the same
Nice.
way you have going through successes. Same level of excitement.
Whew. Guys, listen, if you didn't catch any nugget from everything that was dropped in 45 minutes, I don't even know what to tell you. And if you miss number one, go back and watch our live from yesterday. Add it to today. It gives you a balanced overview of what it takes to become successful. I mean, a lot of stuff that Dr. Stephen talked about are principles that cuts across the board, not just in real estate, right? So whether you're watching this, you're not into real estate, or you're looking to get into it, or you're in and you're looking for strategies to scale, just watch this live again and then go back and watch the one from yesterday. And I'm telling you right now, like 2025 could literally be that year where you scale to the next level. But man, Dr. Steven, I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man. You got meetings coming up. So matter of fact, if people want to reach out to you, because you might have people who want to work with your organization. I know you guys are based in Texas, but there are things you can do, or they want to, your mentorship in real estate. Like, how can they get in contact with you?
Um, well, thank you for having me, by the way, and you're one of those special people to me.
Appreciate the
You know
love.
that. Um, so reaching out to me easy, send a DM or send a mail to product at stephenakintayo.com. My team is gonna reach out. Products at stephenakintayo.com. Right? If they don't respond, keep disturbing them till they do, right? So
Nice.
keep disturbing them till they do, because I always joke humorously that my guys seem to be bigger than I am. So, you know, they take their
Nice. Nice.
time.
But I
They
think
take
that
their time
I
to
think the
do
fastest will probably be to send you a DM. I'm
it.
assuming.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
DM will work a lot faster. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Awesome. All
Absolutely.
right, man. Definitely, I appreciate your time. We'll probably, look into doing more sessions like this, because I feel like it's valuable. We can possibly even talk about wealth building principles.
Yeah.
I mean, you've, done over 46 books. So picking different books and just sharing gems to empower people,
Yeah.
is something we can definitely do.
Shei
So
Bella, please send a DM because Shei is saying she's had that experience. No response. Send a DM,
yeah,
right? Send a DM. I promise you, you get a response. Okay.
she's actually one of my cool peoples. I work with her on the crypto level. So amazing, woman out
Nice.
of
Nice.
UK. So good stuff. All right.
Nice.
All
Okay.
right, guys. Thank you all so much. Peace and have a great rest of your day.